So my talk title today was Facing Facts. And then this song came. It's times like these we learn to love again. It's times like these we learn to live again. So what does it mean to be in times like these? What I've come to understand is that wherever we are in our lives at a moment, there are facts. And those facts are that which we are experiencing in this and every moment. The fact is we may have an illness at this moment. The fact is there may be a money issue at this moment. The fact is we may not have a relationship going the way we want it at this moment. That is a fact. How many people here grew up and people would tell you, you know, you just got to face the facts. That came all the time. It was thrown. You got to face the facts, Lee. You can't live off in Nana land. You got to deal with the facts. You got to deal with the facts. But I misunderstood what it meant to deal with the facts. Because facts are simply a signpost that tells us where we are now. It tells us where we are now. It has nothing to do about the future. So if you are experiencing or in the state of awareness that your fact at this moment is that there is a physical disease in your body, that does not mean that you have to be in a diseased body in the future. If there is a money issue going on today, it does not mean in the future there has to be a money issue. If there is a love issue today, it does not mean that there has to be that same issue in the future. It just means it's where we are now. So what I understand is, and I'm going to go to it because the facts are our friends, because they always are mirroring back to us where we are. So I want to go to Ernest Holmes now. And I want to go right there, here, because I found this to be extremely to the point in what I wanted to say today. There is no need to attempt to trace the specific thought or personal concept that caused the unfortunate event in our life. Just change the directions of one's thoughts. So I want to stop there. And I want to pursue that idea. So if we're looking at the facts of our lives right in this moment, it gives us a clear picture. We can, but we do not have to go back and dig up all the facts that have caused this situation. It can be, doesn't have to be, but it can be as simply shifting your focus and going in a specific direction. A new direction. And what happens when we go in a new direction? New facts begin to appear. There's a new experience that happens. So Ernest takes it a step farther. He makes it very clear, very bold, and he says, turn entirely away from the condition or situation to its opposite. Now, when we have a condition in our life, that condition comes from the aspect that we are feeling, experiencing a separation from the one. It's just that simple. We cannot be in a state of disharmony, dis-ease, disempowerment if we are connected into oneness. So anytime we have a condition, the opposite of that condition will tell us where to go. So if we're looking at a health issue, if we have disease, we turn to health. See where I'm going with that? If we have a relationship issue that's in conflict, we turn to be love. If we have a relationship that we're seeking clarity, we go within and we focus on wisdom. So we're taking exactly what Ernest says, is we're going away from the condition and we're going to where we want to be. It's opposite. When we're living in love, we don't go to the opposite, we stay in love. Does that make sense? I'm going to make it so simple because I want to explain that. Simple does not mean easy. Does that make sense? There is nothing complicated about living a spiritual life because you're already doing it. You're already living a spiritual life. You're already demonstrating pure spirit as you are. The question you want to ask yourself, do I want to demonstrate spirit a bit differently? Because you see, everything that's expressed, everything that's experienced, everything that's being seen in the world, seen in our lives, seen everywhere is spiritual. There's nothing that's not spiritual. Does that make sense to you? Because there's only the one power. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. There's one power. We call that power God. We call it universal mind. We declare it by words that are limiting, but they're the best we got, that it is infinite. It is all-knowing. It is all wisdom. It is everywhere present. It has always been present. It will always be present. It is constantly creating and recreating itself, through itself, out of itself, as everything. So everything being expressed from the one, being created from the one, being generated from the one, is the one. So that means when you look at yourself or you look at any human being anywhere, it's God expressing itself. So the fullness, the allness of the one is right here in this room as each person. How powerful is that to just simply breathe that in and realize that? Then what we realize, taking that in, is that there can be nothing against us. Because if God is infinite, all-knowing, everywhere present, all-powerful, there is nothing on the other side. Because being infinite, it consumes everything. It is the seen and it is the unseen. Therefore, there's nothing opposing God. Therefore, God, all things are easy. Now, when we can come to the realization that we are that expressing itself, then what's against us? Nothing. The only thing against us is our own thought. And we explore this in classes at a much deeper level. And I want to come to that because in metaphysics, there tends to be this idea that things don't happen to people. That people come to a religious science church and they say, well, you just don't see illness. You don't see that. No, we see when there is an illness. We see when there is hurt. We see when there are tears. We see when there's discomfort. And we accept it as a fact. But yet the place we are building here, the consciousness that we're building here, is one that says, okay, Susie, I see your fact. Hank, I see your fact. Jody, I see your fact. Kenny, I see your fact. Now, what would you like to see? And how can we hold that, see that for you, see that as you, support you as you shift yourself to create that experience for you? So what I want to really say is that we have practitioners at Agape. Practitioners are Roxanne and Jean, and as a minister, I'm a practitioner as well. And what we're trained in is spiritual counseling. So we're trained when someone comes to us and they give us the conditions of their life, we're trained to see the opposite of the condition, to see what is the truth of God that needs to be brought forth. And when we come together with you and we explore those ideas, we bring that up so that now we can focus on the quality of God that is desiring to come forth. We give you ideas as to how to do that, practices how to do that. And then when we go into spiritual mind treatment, we go into a state where we see every individual that we're praying with already in that condition. We don't say they're becoming it, we see them as it, because in the mind of God, it's done as quickly as that mind that is expressing its thought believes it. It can be instantaneous. In most cases, our experience is it takes time. And the reason we'll go back to the idea of Jesus. Jesus said so clearly in those 8 words, it is done unto you as you believe. So if you've had a belief that has been unconscious all of your life, and all of a sudden that unconscious belief has caused a situation to occur that is not in your desire, now we switch the belief to the spiritual truth, the idea of health or wholeness, but to build a belief, does that take time? It's a stepping stone process. It's a building process. So we're building that belief with every thought, with every word. And the greater we build that belief, the more we embody it, the more we embody it, the more we embody it, we start to see the demonstration. We may not see the fullness of the demonstration immediately. We can. But what we will do is we'll start to see parts of that demonstration coming forth. This is one of the things that's happening for all the students right now that are in Foundations class. We just finished week 8 out of 10 weeks of Foundations, and the students in this class are shifting, they're changing, their lives are becoming different. Now, has there been discomfort in the process? And why would there be discomfort? Because we've gotten ourselves into the state of comfortable numbness, of being our way, of being this way. And we got to where we were accepting the consequences of that numbness. And we may have been there for years and years and years and years. And all of a sudden, something within us goes, there's more. The facts are not who you can be. They're just who you've been. So we can change the facts. And so the students are wrestling with this. They're doing their meditation, they're doing their prayer work, and they're trying to build this new habit of a daily spiritual practice. Because when you connect into the oneness, you connect into this idea that there is an infinite power and presence. This power and presence is everywhere, and I am it. And then you speak your word and you're directing the power. You are directing this power. And so I really want to spell this out. You're not directing the power of God that is you. You're directing the power of God that is everywhere. And so it's not just your little power. It's the all power. And it responds to belief. So spiritual practice is simply going into oneness, identifying that God is all there is, getting to it. And how do we get rid of the facts so we keep focusing on the facts and we can focus on what we want? Well, the easiest way is to go into meditation. Because when you silence your mind, the facts disappear. Your slate gets clean. You get into a state of feeling comfortable. You get a state where you can lose yourself into that state. And once you've gone into that state, and there's none of this facts out here, all this controversy going out there, we implant the new thought. We implant the idea of abundance. We implant the idea of health. We implant the idea of loving relationships. We implant the idea of peace and harmony in our lives, no matter what the other conditions of the world around us are doing. And when we're in a state of oneness and we plant that seed, the soil that is God's mind, the infinite mind just says yes. It never questions. It never asks why. It says yes. And every time we affirm that, we're fertilizing that seed. We're giving it love. We're giving it sunshine. And it keeps building. And despite weeds all over everywhere else, in our garden, we keep it pure. And where is our garden? It's in our mind and it's our heart. I want to keep that really clear, that our garden is not our mind, because there's an intelligence in our heart. And that intelligence in our heart feels the God presence. That's where we know God, when we feel it, because we can use all the words that we want and we will come up empty. But if we open our heart and we allow ourselves to feel, it's good.